By the middle of World War II, a major problem in air combat had become apparent. Bombers were being destroyed before they could reach their targets. The problem was the limited range of fighter escorts. Out of this crisis came an aircraft that would change the course of the entire air war, the P-51 Mustang. The Mustang was born out of an unusual need. In 1940, Britain urgently needed a new fighter. The American company North American Aviation promised to design a completely new aircraft within a few months. Surprisingly, the Mustang prototype flew in about 120 days. The Mustang's design prioritized speed and range from the start. Its fuselage was slim and clean, and the wing design used a laminar flow airfoil, which kept the airflow over the skin smooth for a long time. This reduced drag and increased cruise speed, which was different from most fighters of the time. However, the P-51 was not perfect at first. The early Mustangs used the Allison V1710 engine. While this engine performed well at low and medium altitudes, it lost power at high altitudes. As a result, the Mustang was unable to show its true potential in the European Air War, where combat took place above 25,000 feet. Because of these limitations, the P-51 was initially used for low-level reconnaissance and ground attack missions. While its speed and stability proved effective at low altitudes, it was not yet at the center of the main air war. Yet one thing was clear right away: the Mustang's airframe held tremendous potential. Its fuel capacity, aerodynamic efficiency, and long range showed that it could change the entire battlefield if it had the right engine. Although the early P-51 Mustang showed promise in terms of speed and range, its greatest weakness in the European Air War was its high-altitude performance. When bombers were flying at 25,000 to 30,000 feet, the Allison-engined Mustang could not maintain its power there. The decision to overcome this limitation propelled the Mustang into the course of history. The solution came from Britain. The Royal Air Force was already enjoying remarkable success at high altitude with the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. When the Merlin engine was installed in a Mustang experimentally, the results were stunning. Suddenly, instead of losing power at altitude, the plane became more lively. The Merlin engine's main strength was its two-stage, two-speed supercharger. This system supplied the engine with enough oxygen even in the thin air at high altitude. As a result, the Mustang could easily fight steadily above 30,000 feet, where it had previously lagged behind. These changes led to the P-51B and P-51C variants. Not only were they fast fighters, but they were also ideal for safely escorting bombers over long distances. With the addition of additional fuel tanks, the Mustang could now complete missions deep into Germany and return, something no previous American fighter had been able to do. The difference in performance was also clear. The Merlin-powered Mustang could climb to altitude faster, engage enemy fighters on equal terms, and stay in the air for longer periods of time if necessary. These qualities made it not just a fighter, but a strategic asset. This transformation of the Mustang had a direct impact on the picture of air combat. Whereas bombers had previously suffered heavy losses before reaching their targets, they now began to receive full-range escort. Intercepting enemy fighters became increasingly difficult. At this point, the P-51 Mustang was no longer just a potential aircraft. It became a force that could turn the tide of war. But the real test lay ahead, when the aircraft would have to engage in daily combat in enemy skies. With the addition of the Merlin engine, the P-51 Mustang was not just an improved fighter, it became the most effective weapon in the European Air War. At this point, the Mustang's primary role was clearly defined: full escort for long-range bombers. Previously, American bomber formations had often been rendered helpless when they entered deep German territory. The limited range of the fighter escorts forced them to turn back midway. The Mustang broke that equation. With additional drop tanks and efficient fuel consumption, it could fly from England to Berlin with the bombers and back to base. The effect of this change was immediate. Luftwaffe fighter pilots could no longer simply attack bombers. The Mustang did not just stand there defending, it actively sought out and destroyed enemy fighters. In air-to-air combat, the Mustang's speed, high-altitude performance, and durability gave it a clear advantage. The P-51D version added a bubble canopy, which gave the pilot almost complete all-round visibility. The balanced arrangement of 6 .50 caliber machine guns made the Mustang deadly and reliable. At this stage, it was established not only as an escort fighter, but also as an air superiority fighter. The presence of the Mustang gradually turned the European air war one-sided. As enemy fighter forces began to decline, it became increasingly impossible for the Luftwaffe to replace the losses of trained pilots. As a result, Allied bombing campaigns became deeper and more regular. By the end of the war, the Mustang was not limited to the sky. It was also used in ground attack and armed reconnaissance missions, where its speed and accuracy again proved effective. The Mustang remained in service with many countries after the war ended, even being used in the Korean War. Finally, the P-51 Mustang was not legendary for any single feature. It became legendary because it was the right solution, at the right time to the right problem. It gave bombers safety, broke enemy air power, and changed the rules of air combat. That's why the P-51 Mustang is not just a fighter plane in history. It's a war-changing symbol,